welcome into another edition of the Sun Belt Syndicate with you from the first kick to the last pitch. And as you can see, we have a special guest with us today, a Chanticleer legend, not someone on the field, but someone that brings all the energy to the stands. He's bright, he's yellow, he's full of potassium, and maybe the most famous fruit in all of the Sun Belt. Please welcome to the show the Coastal Carolina Banana Man, Cody Tudor.
Very happy to be here. Very happy.
We are happy to have you, sir. For those that are unaware, we had a little post go viral after we went to, well, I specifically went to the Coastal Carolina versus Clemson baseball game. At the time, was a top 25 matchup. Coastal got the better of Clemson. But I think the biggest thing that's come out of that game, Cody, was the clip that I took of you heckling the, I guess, bullpen of Clemson Tigers while number 42. Do we know the name of number 42, by the way? Did we?
Michael Gillen. Yeah. I tagged him in my my Instagram post. And I would, if I know he's not watching. If he happens to see anything, I would like to apologize for tagging you in that, but it was funny.
You should not apologize for that at all.
Not apologizing, actually, just saying it to.
Yeah, you should never apologize for that. It was good fun. It was clean. We even saw, while I was there live, I saw the Clemson players cracking up multiple times.
They were dying. It was amazing.
Not just at that time, too. I mean, you guys had other stuff that had them chuckling and laughing. There was other people that had said some other things. Very little, if anything, really crossed any line. I know maybe somebody had spilled a drink, I guess possibly spilled it on purpose. That was not part of your guys' group, not a part of where we were standing. He got kicked out immediately. So when
absolutely,
I want to be clear with everyone who says that, heckling's not fun or something. I guess I don't know. I don't understand that part. As long as you're not going overboard and getting real personal with people.
Exactly.
They do have cops around the area. They make sure people aren't going overboard with throwing. If you throw anything down there, you're out. If you cross the line with the language, they might, depending on what it is, they might kind of come warn you. But otherwise, they're also kicking you out. They came over and warned everybody multiple times. Just say, keep it clean and we got no problems. So as much as some people didn't like the interaction, which was very few, by the way, but I do want to say that Coastal does a great job of keeping it clean and keeping it fun as best they can. Obviously, they can't control people's actions until after they happen. But Cody's not one they have to really worry about. They were over there rizzing it up with him and, talking to him and having a good time. So, man, I'll start the first one off. Like, where did the suit come from? How did it all get
question for Marv real fast, if I can ask.
Yeah.
Did you get an invite?
To the Coastal game?
Yeah.
I did. I declined.
You got
I did get an invite. I had it was either out of town work function or
that's all I needed to know. Thanks.
Our subject, Dom. You should.
Sorry, Cody. I was just trying to figure out where I ranked on the totem pole here.
You're obviously number 3. It's okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, sometimes it happens.
No, it happens all the time around here.
But yeah, with the suit, it's actually one of the things I get asked about the most. But shout out to one of my former roommates from freshman year. He's the best. His name is Richie, and he left to go to a different school. He left us, his best friends, to go with his girlfriend. And while I do respect him for it, I will never forgive him. But we were helping him clean out all of his stuff, and he had a banana costume in his closet. And I was like, "Hey, man, are you ever gonna wear that?" And he was like, "Absolutely not. Like, if you want it, you can have it." And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Just hold on to it." And just like, Halloween was coming up. Like, if there's any time that I can ever like just wear something, I'm a guy that loves to dress up, loves to have fun. So if I ever get a chance to do something fun, I'm gonna do it. So I took it from him, held on to it. And the first time I ever wore it, I wore it to an App State basketball game. Obviously, that's a big rivalry for us. Basketball is not really our sport, so God knows we got beat in that game. But that was the first time I ever wore it. And then the next time I wore it was to the Wake Forest Coastal baseball game. That was the week after Wake Forest was ranked number 1. And so we wore that. I wore it. I added the cape to it, added a bunch of other stuff, like just going all out for this game. I knew it was going to be massive, and got on the broadcast a lot, had a blast. There's a bunch of videos of me dancing. One of the clips from the ESPN Plus broadcast was, we need 5,000 of this guy in the stadium. And that was like massive. Just so like, I love being the guy that brings energy and just has a good time. So being able to, bring energy to people around me is way more fun. And I got asked to, the guy that does the radio for Coastal, Joe Katz, who is awesome. He reached out to me within the next week. I think it was actually the next day. And he said, my daughter loves bananas. If you could wear it for one more game so we can get a picture, that would be awesome. So told him absolutely, wore it to one more game. I believe it was against JMU. And I wore it and did the same stuff, like dancing, heckling a little bit, just having a good time. And while I was at the game, I ran into a player's parent, and they were like, man, that's, we love what you're doing. That's awesome. I was like, oh, thank you. Really appreciate it. And then after the game, I had players come up to me and say, hey, man, we love what you're doing. Keep it up. You got to keep this going. And once the players tell you that it's helping them, you gotta do something. So I decided, like, maybe this is a thing to go to, because I'm a big sports guy. Love if you put it on TV, I'll watch it. If you take me to it, I'll watch it. I'll pay attention. I'll get into it. So I was already going to every sporting event. I was at every baseball game that year, even before the banana stuff. So got there, and then I was like, may as well. Once the players asked, you may as well keep it going, and we kept it going. It's only grown since then. The athletic director, the president of the university, all the fans. It's just become kind of stuff of legend, and it's really crazy to say out loud, but it started with just being gifted a banana costume, and it's grown into a tattoo on my calf. So
Nice.
So I'm assuming the banana costume goes nowhere anytime soon. This is going to continue for the foreseeable future.
This is going to continue as long as I can keep it going. The only thing that would stop this at this moment is if I get a job with one of the teams. Like I said, I'm a big sports guy. I went to college for marine science. That's what led me to Coastal. But as I've gotten through some of my classes, I've kind of started looking more into sports as a career. Like, I never really considered using my love for sports as anything career-wise. And, now meeting people that have done it, being more involved, I've kind of realized that could be an option, and I'm starting to go a little bit more in that direction. So maybe senior year, we look into maybe getting a job with one of the teams. Obviously, a lot of the coaches now know me, which is, again, crazy to say out loud, but I don't know, man. As much as I would love to, say I worked for one of the teams, maybe have a chance to get like a ring or something. Like, this stuff is so cool, and it's just, especially when like kids or stuff come up to me like, I was looking for you. Like, that's the stuff that just makes everything, just puts a smile on your face.
Yeah, there was one point when I was right there. Soon after I took that clip, actually, it hadn't gone viral.
It was like right after.
There was like 5 or 6 kids that just came right up to you, and they were interacting with you for like, it seemed like 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know what the actual timestamp was, because the game.
We had like a 5-minute conversation about Fortnite, and I was just, they were like, "Oh, it's Peely from Fortnite." I was like, "Yeah," and I was just talking like I was the character from Fortnite. Like, we're trying to get this worked out. Like, just stuff, just having a good time. Nice. And when you're able to, like I said earlier, when you're able to allow and help other people have a good time, it just makes it even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you reached out, or have they reached out to Savannah Bananas yet? Because it just seems kind of fitting, and it's kind of, geographically close. Just seems
we've interacted with them a few times. I say we. I've interacted with Split on Twitter quite a few times.
Okay.
Or there was a time when he posted and said, it's like, what mascots should I interact with in 2025? And I sent a picture of me, and I was just like, me, you got to interact with me. And he responded to it. And the picture I posted was like had my hands like this, and I was just staring down. And he responded to it, and he goes, "This feels like a threat." Just little small interactions here and there. And then when that video started going viral, Split commented on it.
Nice.
The Savannah Bananas mascot commented
cool.
on it, tagged me in it, and said "Banana Man sighting." And I was like, I sent that to my sister immediately. My sister, she's not the biggest sports person, but we kind of force her. But she loves the Savannah Bananas, so I sent that to her, and I was like, look, like the mascot recognizes me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then also, when Coastal announced that they were doing the free concessions, that's the same thing that Savannah Bananas do. So they commented on that. So the two sides have spoken, not about me, but we've got some connections in there. We could definitely get it going.
Yeah, this needs to happen.
Yeah, it just seems fitting.
Seth, you got a question for Cody?
What? No, not really. Sitting here,
Understandable.
I'm enjoying listening to him talk.
Yeah.
What? Where were you before Coastal? What led you to Coastal? I
There you
know you talk about
So
Marine.
I am, yeah. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky originally. Born here, raised here, and nothing wrong with Louisville, Kentucky. But I'll be honest, I was ready to get out. Since when I was 6 years old, I saw the movie Dolphin Tale, and immediately decided that marine science was what I wanted to do. I've been working towards it since I was 6 to then, and I remember they have this thing called the academic common market for colleges, and it's basically just if the state that you live in doesn't have the program that you are looking for, you can get in-state tuition at certain schools. Kentucky is obviously very inland. We have the Ohio River. That's about it. And a couple creeks here and there, but not a lot of marine stuff going on. So none of the colleges in the state have a marine science program. So we started looking on this list, and me and mom was obviously a little more into it than I was. I wasn't really. I still do. I hate like stressing over stuff. So whenever that was a big question, mom was like, we got to look at this. I was just like, I really don't want to. It's so much pressure to pick the right place, and they ended up finding me. So I was sitting on the couch watching Sports Center, watching ESPN before a big Saturday of college football. And this was in 2020 when Coastal was having their undefeated season. So they got a segment, they got featured, and I saw the field, and I went and I went, oh my God, that's awesome. And I went and showed Mom. I was like, Mom, you got to come look at this. It's like, look, they have a teal football field. Like, that's insane. That looks so cool. And then she read the name. She was like, I think they're actually on your academic common market list. So we went and I read it. They were on there, and just kind of started doing a little bit more research. And obviously having a good football team was a big starter for me. So they were already high up on the list. And then we just started looking more into it. You got the beach right there. They partially own a barrier island that they do use a lot of research. They have a lot of boats and stuff that they do research on the rivers right nearby. And just specifically for that program was awesome. And then just like I said, right next to the beach, all the placement, all the fun stuff nearby, you really can't beat it. And just, relatively small, relatively cheap. Obviously not really, but with how expensive college is nowadays, it's not horrible. So everything just kind of started to add up. And I had originally wanted to go when I was looking at colleges. I originally picked South Florida, or no, I originally picked Central Florida, and then we realized that's expensive. So I picked South Florida, and then I saw Coastal and never looked back. That was where I picked. It was the only school I applied to. I only went on a tour to Louisville just because my mom begged me to. She was like, please just go on tour to another school just to see. And I went on that tour at Louisville, and I never even felt moved. Like every time that they would tell us something, it was like, Coastal's better than that. Like they would have a game room. They would have, the big thing was parking. because Coastal, while parking is limited at Coastal, that's the one thing that if you ever talk to a student or a faculty member or even alumni, parking is very, very limited. But it's also free parking. So it works out. Louisville was like, it's only like 200 for a parking pass for the whole semester, you know, all these other, this is how it compares to other schools. And I was just looking, I looked at mine's free. Like just all these, yeah. And there was never, once I really looked into the school, there was never anything that made me want to go anywhere else. It was just perfect.
Yeah, I got to tell Seth that because Seth doesn't like to pay for parking, specifically
All
for
about some free parking, buddy.
No one does. No one does.
No one does. And I get down there, you know, pretty close to game time for the Clemson game. And guess what? You guys told me it was kind of a little bit of a walk, but I mean, hell, when you're used to the hills of Boone, North Carolina, and even in Chapel Hill, it was a completely flat from start to finish walk from my truck to the stadium, and I didn't pay a dime. So it was great. I mean, it was like a 5-minute walk at the most, maybe. It wasn't bad at all. It was a beautiful day down there at that point. It was
was
maybe low 70s at the highest temp, and it was like a nice little breeze, not much wind. Everybody was in comfortable clothing and enjoying it. And speaking of that, you guys absolutely set an attendance mark, the first technical sellout, which I'll be honest, is a little surprising to me that it's the first time.
When I heard that, even I was surprised. And I haven't been here very long, but for that to be first sellout with all the big games that the school's had, that was definitely a little surprising to hear.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, and I told these guys I took a video. I know I at least took a photo for them and was like, this place is awesome. I know that we have some great parks in the Sun Belt. I'd put Coastals up against anybody for the ambiance and the atmosphere all coupled into one. And you're not just talking about just the structure, although the structure is really cool too. The whole outfield that you can walk all the way around the whole thing, which I did, just to check it all out it's just a really cool setup. It seems like one of those really cool minor league ballparks that you go to and you tell everybody you went to and had a good time at. So yeah, it's a great place. Marv, you got any more?
I got a couple rapid fire questions for you real quick. Are you superstitious?
Very superstitious. Absolutely superstitious.
11-game win streak. Have you washed the suit?
Well, here's the problem. You can't wash the suit.
Oh,
the suit does not go in the washer or dryer. So I kind of let it ride. And
have you soaked it in the bathtub with baking soda? I guess that's going to lead into my next one. How bad does that thing stink right now?
It is not great. We will put it that way. I douse it in Febreze quite often, but safe to say this one is on its last leg. Basically, what I do is I just go buy a new one. So first semester I had the same one. I had that one, and then the next semester.
Okay, so that is not the original banana suit.
Not the original one. No. This is number 3, I believe.
Do the Sun Belt a favor and don't get rid of that one until after hopefully Omaha.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I'm getting through this year before I get a new one because at that point it's gonna have to rely on getting it in time. Because when I got the second new one, it was I just got it from Spirit Halloween, so I just ordered it online from Spirit and it got in and I was like, cool, ready to go for the next year.
Did you keep the original or did you throw it away?
I didn't, because at the time I didn't realize how big it was going to be. It was very unclear how much this was going to grow.
Gotcha.
I kind of wish I would have now, but it's, man, I could have never predicted. I really couldn't have.
I got one last rapid fire question. Your favorite fruit? That's not a banana.
Ooh. See, now here comes the pressure because if I accidentally say something that's not a fruit, I'm screwed. I don't know, man. If you give me any like snack food, I always go. I love apples. Even like during school, people would always like give me their their apple slices because I need them. Like I love apple slices. So I love me a good apple for sure.
Fair enough.
Nice.
Dom, that's all I got.
Yeah. Man, this is Been great, Cody. I know we will have you on again in the future. Trust me. We might have a whole episode dedicated to you because I find this. I'm
Go
like
for it.
Seth.
I got
I just
plenty
like
of
to hear
stuff.
you. Yeah, I like to hear you talk about it and see what's happened, how it happened, all the stuff. But before we get out of here, you went home, right? You're in Louisville. We saw the picture
I am
with
home. Yep.
some slightly, he's kind of close to you in fame with Dominic Mysterio, but
Yeah, pretty
you know,
close.
slightly behind, yeah. But I guess the big question that we have to ask before we go is, are you going back down to Conway if they host a regional?
It's a little tough. I'm trying to figure it out. But fortunately, my grandmother is retired and she does love to travel. So when it was brought up, she had said, "If you want to go, I'll go with you." So it's only like 3-4 days. So I could get off work. The big thing is figuring out work. Safe to say, while I do love doing this, it doesn't make a whole lot of money at the moment. So
Don't
I was
stop
just
now,
trying to
Cody.
figure-
You got to walk into your boss's office and you got to say, "Hey, I don't know if you know who you're dealing with, but I'm the Banana Man, and I'm taking 4 days off of work, whether you like it or not."
Oh, for sure. I gotta get in there. I'm gonna be like, hey, this weekend, I can't be here. Like, even if they ask, I'm gonna tell them, but I'm gonna be, hey, I can't do it. I cannot be here. I gotta go. But man, when I was talking to people down there, I was like, gotta go home. Gotta see the family. And I had so many people offer me, like, I even had a guy, like, he was like, hey, I can get you a job. I can get you a place to stay. I was like, man, I want to go see my family. Like, I really appreciate the offer. Like, it means more than for someone to just say, hey, I want you to be here so bad that I will get you a job.
That's
But
crazy.
like, gotta go see the family and gotta pester my sister as much as humanly possible. It's my job. But yeah, we're trying to figure it out. I'm getting back to work soon, so I can hopefully get some money. But I am hopefully going to be down there, barring any major setbacks. But especially if we get the latest prediction that came out was Clemson, I do believe.
Yes, it
So
was.
if Clemson is in there, because here's a lot of people will say this about the Clemson game. We did win. We won both games. The first one was a lot more of a blowout. The second was a little bit closer. But it's kind of like what we said in the Wake Forest games. They didn't pitch their stars. They didn't pitch their better pitchers, which I understand. It's can't complain about that. But like, I would love to see a series where both teams are at full strength, and not a series, but a couple games where both teams are like, this is do or die. Because sometimes you play those games in the middle of the season. Like when we played Wake Forest, being a fan, it was horrible because Wake Forest run ruled us both games, and we would watch the games and we would bring in. It was be super close, and we would bring in back of the bullpen guys. And that's no offense to them. That's not saying that they're like horrible. They're way better than I am. But when you're playing a Power 5 team like that or a Power 4 team, like you want to throw your big guys, especially when they were ranked at the time.
Yeah.
Like such a big name school, like you really wanted to put more effort in, and people are like, "Oh, Clemson didn't pitch their start." Like it doesn't matter. You got to, if you want to win a game, you got to go out and act like you want to win that game. But I would love to see one, if not two games where both teams are like, this is the game. Like if we can't throw this, we can't blow this. We need this. I just think it would be awesome.
Yeah, I think we'd all be there too. We all have talked about, the conference tournament has seemed to be a little tougher to make it work for all of us, especially because it spans so many days. It's like, where do you go?
Yeah, it's just so, especially with, that's just, I was joking with my mom, not even joking, but she probably thinks I was joking. I was like, if we go to Omaha, I will be attending one way or another. I'm going to email the athletic director. I'm going to tell him, I'm going to say, hey, please get me a hotel. Please, like if you all can provide anything, get me a hotel, get me some tickets. I know you all at least somewhat want me there, or at least I'm going to tell them that they do. Just see if I can get anything. But like, hey, you guys can get me a ticket and a place to stay. I'll drive. I will drive the 10 hours because I drove 10 hours home. It's only 10 hours there. Like I've done it before. I can make this work.
Yeah.
So but it's so many days, and it's like it's just like, you go for first couple games, then you got to go home, and then it's like
Yep.
but like if we go to we go to a final, I'm gonna be there. Like I will drive back up there. I don't.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot harder to work on.
Once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I
But-
want to go so bad. I've
Well-
watched it religiously for so many years. Like even when I didn't, when I didn't even know that Coastal existed, because I wasn't really watching that religiously in 2016. Like around 2018 was probably when I started like really getting into college baseball. And it was just like, man, every game is electric. It doesn't matter who's playing. It doesn't matter what it is. Every game is just the loudest thing I've ever seen. And I would give anything for the opportunity to.
Yeah, man. Well, whatever we could do to tweet or message someone to help that, we will certainly do it. We hope to see you at a Coastal Regional because we hope to be there as well. But
Absolutely.
Cody, thank you so much for jumping on the show. Like I said, I want to see more and hear more from you later. So don't go too far from us, and we will see you at the baseball stadium at some point in the near future for sure.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you so much.
Cody.
Thanks, Cody.
Man. All right. Oh, look, Seth, you're front and center, man.
Where's
As
your
I
banana
should be.
costume? Seth,
Do
you gotta
what?
get one of those. You gotta get one of those.
What's that?
Banana costume.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it. I like it.
It's man, whatever, dude. It's that's how legends are born.
Yeah. He's such a good dude. Like I said, he's interacting with the kids that come up to him. He didn't act like he was too good or too cool for anybody when I was there. The whole crew loves him. I mean, the whole stadium loves him. It's just what it is, right? It's normal for them. They have a good time with it. He's a really good fan in general because not only is he's not in it just for him. Like he didn't just pester the bullpen. He was cheering the guys all the way from, behind home plate when he was there. So just great stuff. A fan through and through. And obviously has some fun and does some funny stuff with it too. So it's great. Ben throwing a little shout out here. Coastal has a better atmosphere than the Razorbacks, and we know how good the Razorbacks have been in baseball over the years. So that's a pretty cool thing to hear. I said when I was there, absolutely electric environment. Obviously the sellout helps that, but there was just people having a party. What App State has done in football and others are doing, JMU is going to be, in that pedestal. I know Coastal's there with football, especially for the bigger games that, I've been to one of those there. Phenomenal place to see a game. And their football stadium, I shook the AD's hand while I was out there, and he's telling me all the stuff they're going to do. The indoor practice facility is done, and it's almost completely open now. The team may even be using it by this point. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, they've got all kinds of plans to renovate that place and make it even better. He's going around too, not just people like Cody. The AD was walking and talking to anybody and everybody he saw. I was trying to catch up with him, and he kept going over to other people and shaking hands. So they've got a really cool atmosphere. They're very fan-friendly, family-friendly that I saw. I mean, obviously there's people drinking and things can happen when those situations happen. But for the most part, I didn't really see anything crazy or nefarious out of the crowd there. So all the way around, A+ marks to Coastal and their fan base for that game, that atmosphere, what they continue to do for the baseball aspect of thing. And speaking of the baseball aspects, let's jump in here and show everybody. Well, I guess I had the best week ever. I put this graphic out and I had some mistakes. So Marv, you could talk about that because I incorrectly gave you credit for both of us incorrectly for ODU over JMU. I don't know what I was doing, but did you see that?
I did not notice that.
Okay.
I think this is actually the first time I've seen the graphic since you put it up. You can make all the mistakes you want, my friend. I'm 4 games up. So
What a week. That was a tough week for me.
it was a tough shit. You got 1 right. I got 1 right. Dom got 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
I made a jump, but that's because I leaned on the sweeps a little bit more and got lucky with those. Although the only one I really took that you guys didn't take was Southern Miss sweeping the Cajuns there. So technically, really just got lucky on the one. I guess the other thing was you guys did lean on the sweep with Troy over A-State, but as all the Troy fans that were paying attention really leaned on,
I know.
Troy doesn't sweep.
No, they don't. They still have not lost a weekend. I think that changes this week, but good God, man. Early prediction coming out.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I don't know if there's really much else to talk about there. I guess we were all wrong with Texas State taking out Georgia Southern, though. That one went the other way.
It did. Who I don't know. Obviously, not all of us fooled.
Well, I think we saw the history of what Texas State had done throughout the regular season. Not great in weekend series, so maybe that's what we should have been focusing on. But we had seen what they were capable of beating big, highly ranked teams in the state of Texas specifically. And Oklahoma State there, as Seth has mentioned a couple times too, we don't want to forget about too in the early part of the season. But I think we all just kind of assumed that they were going to turn it on and become one of those teams that was dangerous come tournament time, maybe go on a little bit of a run and put themselves in a look for NCAA tournament. But I don't know. I'm not sure you can see that.
I'm surprised the mayor of Huntington here, Seth, hasn't commented on Marshall's sweep quite yet.
Yeah.
No. I've been out of pocket with college baseball this past week, but as it has been for the last 2 months, or a month and a half, it's a 3-team race, man.
Yep.
3-horse race at this point, and I'm going Golden Eagles on this one, buddy.
Going Golden Eagles. I think we were all so hopeful that somebody would separate themselves, right, and become that fourth team that could, sneak into a regional. But I don't see it. Not at all.
No, I don't see it either. I think the door's closed. I don't think.
Well, don't say it's closed. I mean, obviously, somebody outside the top three would have to win the conference tournament, but there will be no fourth at-large bid. That's for sure.
Yes, the door is closed for an at-large bid. But I'll be honest. I don't. And Schultz, locked on guy, to his credit, says something I fully agree with. You guys probably do too. If anybody outside the big three wins this thing, I'll be shocked. Not just a little surprise. No, I'd be shocked if anybody has the consistency, the pitching, the hitting that any of those top three teams have to beat them enough times in the tournament to make a run.
Yep, I'd agree with that 100%.
I could see any team beating them once.
Yes.
I don't think I can see multiple teams beating them more than one time, right? Like,
especially because the teams that are going to be further back will have to play more games. So your top three are going to have the extra arms and won't have the wear and tear. So, I would be shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a very light midweek. We did have more games than this scheduled. A couple were canceled at this point. There's not going to be much that really helps you unless you were going up against a ranked team, right? Unfortunately, this slate was horrific for the Sun Belt overall. It wasn't hugely horrific because none of our top ranked teams even played, so we didn't have to really worry about that. They were not even scheduled to play. None of the top three were scheduled to play either, so they didn't have any cancellations. There was, I think JMU was going to play Virginia Tech or somebody like that. Was one of the ones that got canceled. But here's the best side. Anything RPI-wise that could help the conference would be great at this point. There was 3 games on Tuesday night. The Sun Belt lost all 3 games.
Yep. So
that's not going to be helpful. I don't really know how much there is to say. I mean, Texas Rio Grande Valley beating Texas State isn't shocking. They are a better team statistically, RPI wise, all that stuff. So that one's not really a surprise. I guess the other ones aren't shocking, but again, you hope they pull them out, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've made the comment all year. You don't play Texas State on the midweek. You would have thought that, and they've been competing for the Texas championship, which I don't think anyone else realizes that they're playing for that. But would have liked to see them take that game. La Tech's a good program. Georgia Southern, I don't know, nothing too shocking.
Yeah, I mean, Kennesaw State, to their credit, has been a pretty good baseball program routinely. So it's not. Again, all of those schools are not like, oh, I can't believe you lost to this school. I mean, they're all, perennial teams that you've heard of and have made some noise, especially UT-RGV this year. I mean, that's probably the best of those 3 right there. So, yeah, the last little effort to make the RPI as the conference go up a little bit, unfortunately, fell a little bit, but not too great, I guess. So not too big of a hit. That was the only slate. Now we'll jump into the standings because this is what's important at this point. We have 3 ranked teams within the top 25 still. Go ahead, Seth.
Talking about, and we've talked about it the last few weeks, but there are only 3 teams, like David had said as well, but there are 3 very, very solid teams.
Yeah.
With two possibly hosting a regional, depending on how one series shapes up this weekend, which two Sunbelt teams hosting a regional, I'd take that all day over just 4 teams getting in all together. So
you think if Southern Miss were to sweep Troy and then make it to the conference championship, they could host?
I think Southern Miss has got a solid chance.
Yeah,
I think they better host if that happens because
I still think it might be fringe and borderline. Just looking their RPIs at a 30. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think if Coastal wins their last series and makes it to the championship game, I think they are an absolute no-brainer, from resume-wise and facility-wise to host.
I think you're talking about a national seed now with Coastal. They could
go 6 through 8. I could see that.
I think they're going to have to lose a few to not be able to host at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. We saw some ODU fans jumping in here because they're playing Coastal this week. We'll get to those matchups here in a second. But I wouldn't be shocked if they lost one, right? There's a lot of pressure now. Everyone expects this to happen. So does ODU do something to pull one out? I would be shocked if ODU won more than 2 games against Coastal. Or 2 games.
Comment that a sweep was brewing, and I was like, man,
yeah,
I'll take what you're having.
Yeah, I think the thought process there, to me, it's baseball so different game to game. You got different pitchers, and it's just too different to say like, oh, well, they're going to come right back out and do the same thing. I just don't think that you can say that unless you're one of these top 3 teams where they've kind of been doing that throughout the season. ODU hasn't, but they're coming. I mean, look at this. There's the standings, right? A couple weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, App State and Georgia State were up here in the 4, 5, 6 range. Now they're on the bubble, the literal bubble to make this tournament at all. Georgia State technically sitting on the outside looking in at this moment.
Georgia State's lost 11 games in a row. And talking about App, we had the conversation 3 weeks ago that East Tennessee weekend going into to Southern Miss. Like, if you're going to make your run trying to get that 4th team in, here it is now. What did they do? They lost 11 of their next 12.
Yep. So you say Georgia State's lost 11 in a row. App's not that far away. They lost 11 in a row before winning one. So now they're on a 1-game streak, if you will. Obviously, it's listed as a streak. It's not a streak at 1 game, but they're not too far apart. And guess what? Those 2 teams play each other this weekend. So this is really interesting baseball when it's coming down to the wire. 2 teams that are kind of equal as far as like how they're playing right now. But one of these teams with any kind of sweep or 2-1 series victory is getting into this tournament. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. But go ahead, Seth. What were you going to say?
What does one loss do to Coastal's chances of hosting if they don't sweep?
I think as long as they make it to the conference championship game, they're fine. My opinion.
Not only lost 2 or 3 this weekend.
No, you can't lose 2 or 3. You have to win the series.
Yeah, you can't lose 2 or 3. I mean, maybe if you lose 2 of 3 and you like somehow don't lose a game in the conference tournament and win the whole thing too, then maybe that wins them back over. But yeah, I don't think you can lose 2 of 3 to ODU. I mean, you're looking at a team that's sub 500 overall. They are decent within the conference, right? 15 and 12, but
they are on a 6-game win streak. Just to give them a little bit of credit, but
true.
I think they're running into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, I see a sweep all day.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll definitely get to that. Here are the matchups heading into the last weekend for over the entire conference-wise. Georgia State going up against Marshall. That's a really interesting one there as well. We just talked about Georgia State and App State. That one happening up in Boone. JMU, Texas State. I think that one's a little bit more obvious there too, but we'll see. JMU's been a little feisty. A-State and Louisiana. That one could be really interesting. A-State's not been great as of late, but they have been playing really well, I'd say. Challenging some of the better teams in some series. And Louisiana, surprisingly to me, sitting up there kind of quietly at number 4, right? I mean, they're not.
Yeah, but they just got swept. That really hurt them.
Yeah. I think that's why I say quietly at number 4, right? If they had swept the series going into being number 4, it'd be a little different, but kind of a quiet number 4 because they're not making a bunch of noise there. South Alabama, ULM.
If they swept the series. If they had not got swept, they would actually be tied with Troy for third place.
If they would have swept, is what you're saying?
If they would have swept, they'd have the same record.
Oh.
They'd be opposite. They'd be 18-9.
Yeah. Okay. I saw that. That makes sense. Yeah, that would be rough to do though against that opponent.
Yeah, big time. But hey, let's just cut to the chase. Everyone's looking at that bottom matchup. I mean, obviously, you expect Coastal to take care of business. They are on the road in Norfolk, but man, that Southern Miss Troy series is big.
Yeah, it's undoubtedly the biggest. I think even people, Coastal fans are even going to have their eye on that one quite a bit, right? Because they just want to see who's going to be, the next challenger, essentially, to what they're looking at to trying to accomplish.
Let's say JB goes Friday night. We lean Southern Miss on that one, right? Are we all on the same page on that one?
I would, yes.
So we all know how Troy is on Sundays.
Not great.
Troy may have to win Saturday to avoid a sweep, right?
It depends where they are, right? Like if they're up 2 games to nothing, you can just go ahead and say, well, Southern Miss is going to get the third one. If it's tied, they haven't dropped a weekend series all year. But once again, like I said earlier, I think that comes to an end. I think that comes to an end this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it's going to prop one up, and I don't think even with all the help in the world, Troy's going to make any kind of run at a host. I just don't think they're at that level because
a Troy sweep does give them the number 2 seed going into the tournament. Anything less than a Troy sweep, 3.
Yeah. So I don't know if I see enough there to say that Troy's going to play their way into anything like spectacular for it. Whereas you could see Coastal and Southern Miss take advantage of those opportunities and literally become a host on a regional, which would be huge for both programs. Both programs have amazing ballparks for to play. Troy's got a good one too. I mean, there's not a bad one out of the 3, but I know that people are leaning towards those top 2, and Southern Miss fans really want to host at the Pete, and you can see why. Coastal fans obviously want to host at Brooks Smith Stadium, and you can see why there too. Getting into the tournament look. So I've broken it down real simple right now. Here's what we're looking at. The teams that are locked in place, if they got swept somehow this weekend, they would still make the tournament, include Southern Miss, Troy, Coastal Carolina, all 3 ranked in the top 25. No surprise there. But Louisiana and ODU also are safe in the field. So even if they were to lose out, they are still here. There's a couple teams on the bubble, handful of teams here: App State, Georgia Southern, Texas State, Marshall, A-State, and South Alabama. They could all move up. They could all move down. There's a lot of tiebreakers. We're not going to go through all of them. I couldn't keep them straight. My head would spin. So would yours. The 2 teams that are definitely out, cannot play their way in this weekend, are ULM and JMU. What a fall for JMU, right? After what they did and accomplished last year, to not even be in the Sun Belt Conference tournament is quite something. Any thoughts on that one there?
Dude, 15-37.
It's terrible.
Ouch. Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah. Not good. I don't, you lose a lot, but in transfer portal NIL deal, NIL a little bit less strong in baseball than the other sports, I'd say, just because you don't see the players' faces as much throughout the run of it. Don't get as much media attention from the bigger outlets. We try and give some of that here. I'm surprised they couldn't reload a little better with what that team or what that school has accomplished on other aspects on the court and the field, with football and basketball. So
just looking at this, so South is going to need probably a sweep.
That's true.
To stay in. Georgia State probably has to take 2 or 3 from App to stay in. But I think if App, Arkansas State, Texas State, Georgia Southern, they all win 1 game, and Marshall, they all win 1 game, and they're pretty much guaranteed to be in. So a couple teams need things to really go their way. Everybody else just needs to win 1.
Yeah. So I did kind of what you just did there, Marv. I did it a little bit earlier. I guess I'm leaning on my expertise here without input from you guys, but I predicted the teams that would be in, obviously the ones we already mentioned that were locked in, plus Georgia State, App State. So I didn't have anybody in that one sweeping each other.
Okay.
I think both of those teams could battle it out enough that one win could get both teams in. So that's interesting. Texas State getting in. I have them getting in because of their last opponent being James Madison. I would expect them to at least win 2, but I could see them winning 3 and making it real unquestionable. And then I have Marshall getting in there with their opponent, Georgia Southern. So I don't have either team, Marshall or Georgia Southern, sweeping necessarily. Although if I'm going to lean one direction right now, that's a really interesting series to see that come out of. And Marshall's got the bats, man. But we know what Georgia Southern just did to Texas State this past week. So
I would slide Georgia State to out, in my opinion. South Alabama, we say that they need to win. They have ULM coming up. So if you think they could get 2 out of 3, who's Arkansas State play?
They have Louisiana.
I think if they can take 1, they're in. I would probably slide, me personally, I would slide Georgia State over.
Put Arkansas State in.
Yeah, I'd put South Alabama in. What I would do is just switch South Alabama and Georgia State.
I could see that. I could see that. I mean, I had some question marks when I did it, and
it's hard.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just hard to predict because you're not predicting one series. You got to predict like 5 different series.
Yes. That's what, because like I was looking at it and going, okay, well they would be here, and then they would jump them because of this. So anyway, I went one step further with this thing. So I predicted some seeding out of it with what I had devised. Again, this is going to be split. It looks a little funky on screen for those that are watching. I have the top 6 kind of to the left side because those ones are all locked in. They're getting at least 2 games, so they can afford to lose a game and still continue in the tournament. All the teams on the right side, 7 through 10, they get 1 shot. 7 plays 10 and 9 plays 8. So you get 1 shot to win and get yourself in. That's kind of the buy-in, the single elimination aspect of the tournament. So I had Georgia State barely sneaking in at 10. I expected them to get at least 1 victory over App State in Boone this weekend. I think they have enough of the bats. And we've seen the App State with the pitching aspect. Could they let one get away? I think so. We'll see what happens there. Georgia Southern at 8, App State at 9. So those 2 teams that just match up kind of, they wouldn't face off against each other, interestingly enough, but you could have a technical rematch pretty quick there. ODU, again, that's a 7 spot because I think they could get swept by Coastal. So that would put them in those bottom 4 teams. So that would be a pretty big jump down for them. It's really not that many spots down, but that's a big change from double elimination to single elimination, right? Georgia Southern, again, number 8, I think I mentioned. Guys, thoughts on how I got this look? And I know we just talked about Marv having a little different outlook. So Seth, we'll start with you. What do you think, right, wrong, or you would change here?
I think either one of y'all could be right. I don't. I'm looking at those top 3 or top 4. That's kind of what matters. I think App sneaks in. I think you're pretty accurate the way it is. I don't have any really rebuttal against any of it.
Okay. Marv, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're just replacing one cat head with another cat head for that's all there is to it. Yeah. Hey, just off topic real quick, Seth, you going Friday night, watch Caleb's last start?
Well, it'll be Thursday. Caleb will go Thursday.
They might save him for Friday.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't know. Just, a lot of times you like to keep pitchers on their regular cadence.
But Dominic will be in town this weekend because he's a good friend. So we'll leave it at that.
Jesus.
Oh, right to
the throat. Even though, I guess he's got to make up for not inviting you to the baseball game and never.
Well, hey, he told me he couldn't do the show on a certain night, but then he wanted to get an invite to the baseball game.
Love you guys.
This is why you can tell we're all friends here because we let fly. Yeah, but we have talked about getting to Coastal all together if there's a regional. I mean, I think that's one thing that we'll definitely all try for. Again,
that's reasonable. And heck, I could probably even hook us up with a free place to stay.
There you go. And it's really drivable for all of us compared to the conference tournament, which again happens mostly throughout the week. So that's a little hard. I just got wrapped into a engineering conference in Raleigh, which is right down the road. So it's not a big deal, but I'm there Monday through Wednesday. So, the tournament starts before that. So I can't even leave until Wednesday at the earliest. And then I'll be, gone in the morning and gone in the evenings and not help out around the house. It's just gone the whole week. A little hard sell for the wife, Plus my son always wants to see me and hang out. And I think it'd be cool to take him to the tournament, but I can't take him out of school. So there's just a lot of things we're battling here for that. But we definitely want to get down there at some point and definitely provide some coverage from down there. That would be the goal and the hope moving forward. Once we get this thing wrapped up, going a little bit more here on the internet side of things. Ben James does have a note for us. A-State has the third best ERA per Sunbelt website, and Louisiana has the seventh best ERA in conference. So a little tidbit. Maybe that has some people thinking a little differently. I just think it's going to be hard with Louisiana being at home. If you told me Louisiana was going to Jonesboro for that, probably thinking A-State gets a game for sure. Maybe they steal too. But being down there in Louisiana, that's a tough sell for me, thinking that, as rough of a Cajun season as they've had for their standards, you think you're going to go down there on the last week of the season when it matters the most for conference seeding and, take a series. I don't think that's going to be easy to do there. So I did the best in class. It's kind of a silly
It's null
thing right
void.
now, right?
It's the show and nobody else.
Yeah. But as Seth has said multiple times, we have to kind of look at this as a weekly type thing. It didn't hurt the Cajuns too much with what they'd come out in with playing one of the better teams. Maybe should have been AA. But yeah, I mean, this is just like you said, it's mainly the top three and everybody else.
Yeah.
I
we have to talk about it, but it's going to be a fun weekend with Troy and Southern Miss. I think that's what everybody's looking forward to the most.
Can't wait.
Yeah. A couple interesting matchups when you really get down into the standings and how it could affect seeding. The more matchups do look more interesting. But yes, from the outside looking in, when you're looking at it, it's always going to be Southern Miss versus Troy, a top 25 matchup. Can Troy hold on to not losing a series all season? And could Southern Miss continue their hot streak? What is it? Yeah, they could end up with a 15-game win streak if they could sweep, which I'd be hard-pressed to think anybody in the nation had one better at any point this year, but I'd have to fact-check that. Yeah, I don't know. Thoughts on that? That wraps it up for the graphical part of the evening, but hopefully that gives some people at least a better idea of what we're looking at for this conference tournament. That was the biggest takeaway, is what I wanted to do, is like, what are we looking at? And I don't know, it's fairly impossible to predict to an exact science, but I tried to do some of that.
No,
I think you did a good job.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that the regular season's almost over. 50 plus games, feels like we were just getting started yesterday. But excited to, like you said, see how it all pans out, see what the seeding looks like, and then get to Montgomery and see, is there a surprise team that makes a run, or is it exactly who we think it's going to be at the end?
Yes, I think that is a huge question mark. So it'll be exciting to watch. I know I'll be watching most of the games at work. I have 3 screens at work, but whenever college basketball postseason comes around, college baseball season, I charge up the little tablet I've got, and I have a 4th screen, and I just have that solo running all day. And the people walk by, they don't really care. As long as you're doing your job, you can get away with looking at something else a little bit. I could probably run it on one of my main 3 screens, but it's a little bit better when I can hide it real quick if I need to. Someone else is a visitor in the business. I have to, I could put that away real quick and still have everything up. So any last final words or thoughts? I know we want to do a little bit of a preview. So once the field is set, we will work on providing that for you guys. But anything before we get out of here and start watching games? They start tomorrow. So fellas, I'll say it live while we're on the air. Get me those series predictions, because they're big time and meaningful this week. So we got to get those out there and see what we can get right. And who ends up on top at the very end? I think Marv's got the inside track, but Seth and I are battling out for second place at this point.
I think.
Yeah,
Do you have last year's standings?
I could probably find it. I don't have it like in front of me or anything. I could pull up real quick, probably, but
Yeah,
I
I'd
could
love
look
for
at
you. I'd love for you to find them because I think I'm about to be back-to-back champions on you boys.
Oh, you know what's interesting though? You know what's interesting when I've crunched the series about just winners and losers,
Oh,
not
that's how we play this game, Tommy.
I know, but it is interesting how much it changes. Seth is like a master at that one, but he struggles with the series accuracy.
We all have
But-
zombie readers. We all struggle with that.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. So I'm surprised that I've gotten anywhere close to the two of you because I started off pretty far behind in this. So,
and next week I think we're going to have our Sunbelt Syndicate, our picks for Conference Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year,
And freshman of the year. Yeah.
yes,
newcomer of the
we'll be giving out awards. Unfortunately, they don't come with any NIL deals or prize money. So there isn't any of that. But yeah, there's like a graphic that these guys could save to their phones and be like, at one time I was the biggest thing in the Sunbelt Syndicate.
We should have Fanplex Graphics make them something and send it to them.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be good. That would be good. I might have to make a contact there and see what's going on these days. So, yeah, stay tuned for any of the extra stuff once tournament time is right here around the corner. We'll see what happens and how everything gets finalized. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.
See y'all.